Dr. Balasaheb Sawant, Konkan Krishi Vidyapeeth, Maharashtra. Before starting the lecture, I'll give a little brief introduction about Dr. Ajay Desai. Dr. Ajay Desai, he has been studying in College of Physics, Ratnagiri. He completed bachelor's and master's from there, and sir, master from CIC, right?
No, College of Fisheries. College of Fisheries.
Yeah, College of Fisheries, Ratnagiri. Then he has been to New Zealand for his PhD in Lincoln University under a very renowned food technologist, Dr. Professor Brennan. And Dr. Desai is a seafood research scientist with vast, it's almost 15 years of experience in product development, innovative food processing. And he has also acquired the techniques in starch protein technology. So he has a vast experience in seafood processing technology. He has published more than 30 publications in reputed international journals, and he received more than 5 awards, which include, they are professional awards, which includes Lincoln Doctoral Scholarship and Food Travel Award to Foods Switzerland. He also undertook and completed 9 research projects at the host institute till date. So he's an active researcher. He has been spending most of his time in developing the new products related to the seafood. So we welcome sir, Ajay Desai sir, please carry on.
Yeah, thank you, Vijay. Very good morning, all of you. Very good morning. And one thing, Vijay, can you clarify that my screen is visible, all of you? That's presentation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Your screen is visible.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. And also, thank you to organizing committee of Guru Angad Dev Veterinary and Animal University, Associate Dean and Vice Chancellor, for giving an opportunity to give a talk to students. So the topics that's assigned to me, that's fish protein-based functional foods, recent advances. So we are not wasting more times. We will go with the first slide. So we will discuss about that's what is the need of functional foods in the recent times, because now the consumers are that consumers are health promoting, and they are looking for the how the health is good. So we must think about that the foods which are developed, that it must be health benefits or not because the conventional methods are traditional ingredients, they are not giving the health benefits or other beyond that. So functional foods is nothing but any foods or food ingredients that may provide health benefits. Health benefits in terms of they may be helpful for the chronic diseases like diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular diseases. So we must think about that functional foods develops that give the health benefits. Beyond that, traditionals, that nutrients that giving that it contains. So the definition as such mentioned somewhere or in research books, on research papers, we can say the functional foods is that food which has been added to a food that's giving the new products, has a new function. The new function in terms of it helps to the health benefits. So also we can say in more other terms we can say that's the foods that have been more fortified or enriched or enhanced foods by the incorporation of certain other ingredients that's fortified or that's modify its functional properties. So that's, we can say, comes under categories of the functional foods, and that provides health and physiological benefits beyond the traditional nutrients it contains. So now the seafood industry or other food industries, they are looking for the functional foods that giving the more health benefits. So as such, the global functional food markets, you can see the category of fish and meat stands for the third in positions after the bakery and cereals and dairy products. So there is huge potentials. So we can utilize that potentials, and you can develop the functional foods. That functional foods face the more price in the markets, and we can develop the new innovative products. So as for the global functional food markets by country or regions, we can say 30% participation, or you can say the United States, then followed by the Europe, then Australia and Japan. So we must think about the functional foods or innovative products from the whatever resources are available, because we have as far as the Indian coastline is concerned, it is 811929 kilometers. So we can utilize that resources, and we can develop the such functional foods that will benefit for the common consumers, and that if effect in terms of it helps to the health promoting benefits. So what is the key trends in the food products, or what, why should develop the we can say functional foods? Because it gives the digestive health. Digestive health is nothing but because whatever we are consuming, that's ultimately effects of the digestive systems of ours, the small intestine or large intestine or the stomachs, that gives the proteins or whatever other nutrients. Then health benefits, that's convincing out energy provided, that antioxidants, this product should be have the antioxidants. Then the products should have the, I told that this obesity and diabetics patients, so we have to think about the products that not have that much carbohydrate, that's weight management we can take. Then healthy snacking, then bones and movements, then real food nutrition, bioavailability. So bioavailability is the, now we can say whatever we consume the food, what the nutrients they are digested in the small intestine or large intestines, whether it is actually available in the body. For example, we are consuming the bread. So when you're consuming the bread, that contains okay cereals and legumes, but when you're consuming, that's our intestine is actually taking the 100% that's nutrients or not. So that study will that's comes under the bioavailability, how much nutrients are available in the body. Then potential power, then plant-based diets and gourmet nutritions, these are the current trends in the food products you can say. So now the persons, now they are more health conscious, so depend on food habits, there are specific conditions are there we can say, more we can say like osteoporosis, then high blood pressure, eating disorders, then cardiovascular diseases, cancer, digestive disorders. So high what that lots of these things that happens with the food products, or we can say, so there is need to develop the functional foods, they having the protein content, then well balanced amino acids, so they did not content have carbohydrate little much, so they will affect on other parameters like that. So as far as India is concerned, we can say the marine fish landings, we can take the 2019 figures, there is huge potential, we can say the total production is 30.6 lakh tons, apart from Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and Kerala, they corresponding the you can take the figures we can say, but there is falling landing of Indian mackerel. So Indian mackerel is we can say found in the pelagic fish. They have the dark muscle fish. Okay. Also, the falling fish landing out of state Maharashtra and Goa and Kerala among the out of states we can say, and we can say highest landings reported in the ribbon fish, penis prawns and non-penis prawns. Okay, so whatever resource we have because we have the limited surmi plants in our India. There are lots of fish meal plants, so we can utilize also we can utilize the waste of the products or because whatever the means we have got from the fish industry or seafood industry, they are exported. So whatever the low cost fish or whatever the waste are there, so we can utilize for the development of the functional foods because they have the protein content. So the topic that designed as that is the fish proteins based functional food products. So we have already finished that what is the functional foods. So functional foods I told just remind as the foods that's giving the additional health benefits or fortified the foods. Okay. So fish proteins generally contains the sarcoplasmic proteins, myogrel proteins, and stroma proteins. All of know the sarcoplasmic proteins constitutes 21 to 25% of the total proteins. Generally, it contains myoglobin, globulin, and enzymes. It is found in high pelagic fishes like sardine and mackerel. And myofibril proteins, we can say that's myofibrils, which contains myosin, actin, tropomyosin, troponin, and actins. These are the muscle fibers, we can say muscle cells that play an important role in the myofibril proteins. And this accounts in 65 to 65 to 75% of the total protein of the fish meat. And the stroma protein. The stroma protein generally is not available that much in the we can say the animal that other than the fish or the meat products, they have the stroma proteins or they have connective tissue because they contains we can say collagen and elastin. Okay. So little bit about the we can say discuss about the this is the structure of the our this fish muscle myofibril proteins. So take the examples of the these are the muscle of the fish proteins, and this we can this was the single muscle fiber out of this is the single muscle fiber. It is made up of the actin and major protein is the actin and myosins. The myosin is a thick filament we can say, and we can see this is the diagrammatic presentation of the myosin. We can see this is the we can say having the two nucleoid chains, you can say, and they having the large head here. And this also, you can say, this is the thin filaments, we can take actin. So this is one is the actin, and this is the tropomyosin tropin. This is simple structure of the myofibril protein of the fish. The more elaborate structure of that myosin. Myosin, we can say, I told that myosin molecules, they are made up of the polypeptide chains. There are two polypeptide chains, and they bound each together, and they have large globular heads. Their ATP's activities are available. So what is the function of the ATP's activity in the myosin chains? These ATP's activities are help to uh, connect to the actin. So these are the activity of the ATP's activities available in the myosin that helps to actins to combine to the myosin. So there is help of the gel forming ability or other functions they took place. So other, we can say, I told us this is thin filaments, actin filaments. They are troponin, tropomyosin, and monomers. They are available in this actin filament. So this little about the total percentage. We can, some of the examples we can say, codfish, carpfish, flatfish, mackerels. What are the myofibril proteins percentage and sarcoidosis proteins? So stroma proteins. So major 65 to 75% is myofibril proteins, and they play major roles in the nutritional properties in terms of gel forming ability. When we are cooking the products, they form the gelatinization of the protein. So it affects. So major role of the proteins in the fish is the myofibril proteins. Later on, we can say sarcoidosis proteins. So this is the type of we can say meat, beef, and other products. We can say poultry. Then fish products, they have certain water, protein, lipid, and ash contents. We can say the fish is in the cod and tuna having the protein contents that's we can say as compared to the poultry and other red meat products. This is a little bit idea about the amino acid composition, because we can say the cereal proteins, we can take we can say cereal proteins, legumes and cereals, they have deficiency in one or more essential amino acids, while as compared to the fish, they have plenty of, we can say, well balanced amino acids. This is the take, we have to take the advantages of that commodity, that we can have the there is no carbohydrate content, that almost 0.1 or 1% carbohydrate in the fish, and they almost present in the collagen form. So forget about the carbohydrate, because carbohydrates plays major roles in the obesity and diabetic patients. So the fish commodity, the fish proteins have the well balanced amino acids. There are certain examples, you can say Katla, Lebioc, Serinus mrugella. They have the freshwater fish, and they have the essential amino acids according to the FAO guidelines. They have recommended requirement of the that much essential amino acids in the body. So we have to utilize that much resources for the development of the functional foods. These are the certain examples. So why we are thinking about the functional foods, or more recent advances, what we can add into the functional foods based on the fish protein. So recently, into the March, as all of you are aware that in the March in India or all over world, this COVID pandemic situation came, and there is initially thinking about, it is based on the immune system. Unless and until you have the good immune systems, there is we can say we can avoid or we can protect ourselves with the COVID pandemic. So there is a Council of Scientific Industrial Research, Central Food Technological Research Institutes, which is based in Mysore. The scientists, they have developed the protein-rich biscuits. Okay, this is comes under, we can say, functional foods or protein-based functional foods. We can taste this type of products. We can develop to develop the our immunity power or immune systems in terms of the protein. So they developed the biscuits, and they provided the biscuits to the civil hospitals and all these things, and they found good results because they increase their protein content. Ultimately, they increase the immune system. So this type of innovative ideas, and you can say we can utilize the fish protein as a base material, and you can we can manufacture the fish biscuit, we can manufacture the fish cookies, we can manufacture the fish, we can say fish bread or fish pasta, whatever we are, because we have to must take care of the protein and all the other ingredients, and we can formulate accordingly. So apart from this, we can say fish cookies, because this develops by the fish cookies in this fish cookies or fish biscuits. Other from this, we can in the market Brazil nuts or good nuts. They are also functional foods. They are modified with this one. And when you are going to market, we can see there is specific instruction on the packet flags, they contain the low glycemic index, because they are not the nuts, normal nuts. They having the modified, or they having the fortified, they having the enriched with certain other ingredients, so that they make the functional foods. So they having the low glycemic index. What is the low glycemic index? This glycemic index nothing but it take place in important parts in the diabetic patient or in the starch digestibility. So digestibility, we will discuss later on what is the digestibility. So these are the examples. We can say now this chicken pasta, we can say red lentil pasta. So this is the low carb pasta, and other is high protein cookies. We can say carrot protein grits. So these are the functional foods that they are fortified or enhanced with other ingredients to add it to this product. So what are the effects of functional foods effects on the nutritional properties? So we must think about the such products we can develop so it affects on the nutritional properties, such as the first one is the starch digestibility, that's related to the diabetic patient or blood glucose level in our body. Then another one is protein digestibility, what your food consumes, what your protein is released in the small and large intestines, whether this is actually available or not, or whether it is digestible or not. So protein digestibility is the second parameters that is recently more emphasis you are given on the protein digestibility. Also third one is the antioxidant. So antioxidant property is also good for the benefit of the chronic disease like cancer and cardiovascular diseases. So higher antioxidant properties in the body, we are the safe, or we are most healthy, we can say. So we must think of the such functional foods. They have the three such properties, that's starch digestibility, protein digestibility, and antioxidant property. So variety of micronutrients are including protein and lipids are commonly present in starch foods. Okay. So but starch foods, they having the starch, we can take examples of the wheat starch. They generally they contain the protein is about only 11 to 12%, but carbohydrates we take 74%. So that much wheat contains a 74% of carbohydrates, and we consume that's one. So more consumption of the starchy food, the insulin requirement our body is more. So more insulin required, we are suffer a lot. So we must think about the such starchy foods. We have to modify it or enrich with the incorporation of the fish-based ingredients. So we develop the such functional foods. So interaction between the starch, protein, and lipid influences physical properties, nutritional properties, including texture, flavor, its palatability, digestion, absorption, and rate of constant. So this interaction also further affect on some physiological response, such as postprandial blood glucose response. So recent facts, little bit about World Health Organization giving the global 42 million people affected with the diabetics, and in India alone we can say 70 to 96 million cases of diabetes reported 2006. So we must think about such functional foods or innovative products we can protect this type of patients or diabetic patients to eat healthy foods or functional foods to reduce the diabetic patients, we can say. So 68% death related to cardiovascular diseases, cancer, inflammation, and respiratory diseases. So diabetes, we can say, the major cause of blindness, kidney failure, heart attacks, and stroke, and lower limbs, we can say, amputations. So there is need to, in the recent advances we look about, there is scope, we can say, there is a little work has been carried out. We can say we will go into the large sum and littles. So large, we can say, more works have been carried out. Effects of legumes, protein, and lipid on physical, nutritional, sensory characters. Means legumes, we can take the examples of the lentils or other things, legumes, they have incorporated and lots of work have been done, we can say, in the protection of the starch digestibility, or in the protection of the blood glucose level, in the protection of the diabetic patient. Also effect of animal protein and lipid, they have we can say work have been carried out, but there is little scope or little work has been carried out incorporation of the push protein based development of the functional foods with its nutritional property or the sensory properties. So we can have the scope of the starch digestibility or protein digestibility or biosoluble total phenolic count, antioxidant activity, this amino acid fatty acids. So this is a little work has been carried out. So we must think about that one, and we develop such more nutritional functional foods. So as I told, that's we must think about the development of the functional foods that give the more health benefits with the base of the fish protein. So little bit we discuss about what are the cereals and breads and pasta, they have the qualities, we can say. So the we can say there is cereals, they are having the high digestible starch. So what it affects, the high digestible starch can cause the different types of, we can say, diseases like breast cancer, kidney, bowel diseases, womb diseases. So the starch is a major factors, and we are consuming more starch in daily. If you realize that from the start morning or the evenings, what portion of the starch we are eating, everybody knows. So we must think about the such products. So also we can say cereals, they having the we can say low in protein and deficiency in amino acids. I told that the cereals and cereals are general, they have 11 to 12% protein. So there is also even though they are low concentration, they have not that much balanced amino acids, because lysine and methionine, they are deficient in the that's wheat protein. So even though there is low protein, also they are deficient in whatever available amino acids. So we have to, there more scope to develop the such functional foods with the low protein product. Also they are deficient in the, we can say, polyunsaturated fatty acid, long chain polyunsaturated fatty acids. They plays important role, we can say, the chronic inflammation, cardiovascular diseases, diabetic complications, neurological disorders, metabolic disorders. So this these are the lots of, we can say, disadvantages, we can say, having the cereals. So also we can say, have a look of that's one cereals, that's protein is 12 to 14%, lipid is 2 to 6%, carbohydrate 65 to 80%. Even though you can go in the market and you can take the cereal, we can say, cereal flour or semolina flour, they clearly indicate that they contain the carbohydrate at 74%. So there is lot, there is carbohydrate percent 75%, as compared to, we can say, fish powder or fish, we can say, protein is 70 to 90%, lipid 1 to 3%, moisture is 3 to 9%, ash 1 to 2%. So there is, we can say, carbohydrates, there is no carbohydrates contained in the fish protein. So we can say, so this is little bit about what extraction process they generally follow into the food industry. We can say there's a simple procedure. There are different processes we can develop by the fish protein powder or fish protein hydrolysates. We can develop. So this is examples of the salmon fish, and they are remove the head, deboned and bone scales, and they prepare the means and they squeeze with the cloth, and they develop the proteins. Because, and one most important parameters is this the drying procedures, because the protein molecules, they generally degraded, we can say, at above 50 degrees centigrade. So we must take care about the drying. We must maintain the temperature about 50 degrees centigrades or below that. So there is no harm of amino acid contents or protein contents in this drying process. So we are thinking about the development of the functional foods, the recent advancements, we can say, in terms of the functional foods, whenever incorporation of the food, the fish-based products. For example, we're taking examples of the fish pasta. So fish pasta, generally the ingredients generally used for the semolina and fish powder. So these are the basic ingredients and the water. These are the three ingredients generally used for the preparation of the pasta products. So pasta products, they are generally used for the, we can say, semolina. We have the carbohydrate 74%. So we must think about that. If you develop the functional foods like pasta products, we have to add the more proteins, and we have to reduce the carbohydrate at the starch content. So how it affects on the digestibility of the starch? Generally the starch molecules, they are made up of the two molecules, that's the amylose and amylopectins. So this is the example. We can say starch is complex of carbohydrates stored in plants and utilized in human diets as a main energy source, as all know, all this is facts. So this is the, we can say, this one is, we can say, this one is the amylose chain, and this is a linear chain, and this is branch chain of amylopectins. This plays an important role in any products with the starch. Okay, this is, you can say, this one is chemical structures. This plays important role in when they are gelatinized, when they are heated in water, they release hydroxyl molecule or carboxyl molecules, and they joins with other amino groups. Okay, we will see in details. So what actually happens when we added the water to the, and when we are heated to the starch molecules with the fish proteins? What actually happens when we added the, when we are heated and added the waters? What actually happens? They initially they have the linear and branch chains. When you added the water, it breaks its amylose crystallinity. And as this amylose crystallinity breaks, it disturbs the helical structure of that granule swells. So this granules, we can say, crystallinity of amylose is breaks out. As soon as this amylose crystallinity is breaks out, these, we can say, whatever the amylose present in the starch molecules, they comes out of their molecules, and amylose is dispersed into their food matrix. And later on, amylopectins is, we can say, enters, and they form the structure like food matrix with this one. And whatever other ingredients we have added, they are comes in contact with these food matrix, and they form certain complexes, and they ultimately affects on that food texture and other parameters. So starch digestibility, when you are thinking about, there comes in the, we can say, comes in, we can classified into the rapidly digestible starch, slowly digestible starch, and resistant starch. When you eat certain foods, we are when you, for example, we eat the bread products, and we have consumes in the mouth, we have the saliva. That saliva contains alpha amylase. So what is the role of alpha amylase? Alpha amylase that degraded that's protein or start digestion process in the, you can say, in the mouth. So alpha amylase degraded, and it sends to the stomach. The stomach, what stomach contains? Stomach contains certain enzymes or hydrochloric acids. They again, we can say, breaks down. So there is roles of rapidly digestible starch, slowly digestible starch, and resistant starch. In mouth itself, the starch digestion process, because this rapidly starch, within 20 minutes, when you consumes any products, within 20 minutes, this products is digestible, the digestible starch. So within 20 minutes, whether starch is rapidly digestible starch or slowly digestible starch, that plays important role in the blood glucose level. So I told that in the saliva, alpha amylase is the enzymes which is responsible for the breaking down of the products, and further hydrolysis occurs by the action of the pancreatic amylase. So this is little bit about slowly digestible starch, rapidly digestible starch, and resistant starch. What happens in the slowly digestible starch? Because in the 20 minutes, either when you are consuming foods, and within 20 minutes, there is release of starch molecules. So slowly digestible starch in our body is very important play, because it is slowly digested. It is sustained the glucose release. When it is slowly digested, it requires low insulin response. The low insulin is required in our body, and when low insulin is required in body, there is no harms of diabetics and other things. So in the rapidly digestible starch, the patients who have the rapidly digestible starch, when they are consuming, their body is, within the 20 minutes, they are rapidly digested the starch what your food consumes. So it rapid elevation of the blood glucose, and then this rapid elevation of blood glucose, there is requirement of high insulin secretions. If our body required high insulin secretions, we have the suffer with the obesity problem or diabetic patient. So we must think about our product should have the slow digestible starch with the incorporation of the protein content. So how it actually take place? So the estimation of blood glucose response after the consumption of food, any foods, bread, pasta, any products, the predictive glycemic response is generally used to detect the how much blood glucose level, blood glucose is released in our body. So what is the glycemic response? The glycemic response is a tool which is used to predict the food matrix, release the blood glucose release and absorption. So foods with high glycemic index are rapidly digested and absorbed into the blood, which in turn result in the greater insulin demand. So we must think about our products should have the low glycemic index. So many researchers studied on the high glycemic diets are associated with the outbreak of the diabetics too, then chronic heart diseases, then breast cancer. So these are the, we can say, little examples I told. That's one, we can say. This is the starch molecules, that's amylose and amylopectins. I told you the examples of this person is eating the bread. So bread is generally made up with the wheat flour or multigrain products, so they have carbohydrate content. When they consume, we can say this is the esophagus, this is the mouth, we have the alpha amylase. I told that saliva, alpha amylase, that's interact with the bread, and that start digestion and release the, we can say, blood glucose levels. It comes to the stomachs, and the stomachs, they having the hydrochloric acid, they breaks down, and they finally comes to the small intestine. So in the small intestines, they have the in the small intestine, we can say they have the other enzymes, they breaks down and digestion actually starts here. So after that we can say, so we have to think about, because what happens in the start, for example, it is the starch molecules. What happens in the starch molecules, alpha amylase in the saliva, when it affects or interacts with the starch molecules, it degraded. So we must think about the, we develop such molecules or ingredients or the starch molecules or the bread products that cannot be hydrolyzed with the alpha amylase. Okay, for example, for example, we made the fish bread. So what happens, they have the, we can say, protein molecules, they starch molecules, and they have embedded the protein molecules around that circle of that starch molecules. They are not allowed the alpha amylase to break down of that bread molecules. So what happens, their breakdown not take place, and there is little amount of blood glucose level. So this is the chemistry behind this one. So we must think about the that bread product should have the proteins, and the proteins inhibit the activity of the alpha amylase to degrade the starch molecules into the blood glucose level. So this is the rapid visco analysis, when what actually happens when we have heated starch molecules or protein molecules. These are the initial structures, we can say, when you are heated at, so we can say 60 or 70 or 90 degrees centigrade, the actually gelatinization procedure take place. After gelatinization, they, the structure of the amyloproteins disturbs, and we can say there is, we can see, this is the examples of, this one is the round is the starch molecules, and this is the uh, uh, little bit small, we can say this is the protein molecules. So when you are added the protein molecules into the starch mixtures, we can say these protein molecules are attached on the circles of the starch molecules, and this plays a major role in the degradation of the, we can say, alpha amylase, we can say degradation of the molecules, because when alpha amylase attacks on the starch molecules, these protein molecules are, they are not allowing to the alpha amylase to enter to and hydrolyze the starch molecules. So this will affect on the ultimate the blood glucose levels. So these is clear structures, we can say these are the starch molecules, and these are the protein molecules. What are the fish mode, for example, this is the fish proteins, and this is the starch. The fish protein molecules, they are embedded on that structure of the starch molecules, and when alpha saliva we have this alpha amylase comes in contact with, these are not allowed these protein molecules to degrade the starch molecules, and ultimately the, when your starch molecules is not degraded, the blood glucose is not released in body, so it affects on the lower secretion of the insulins. Ultimately it affects on the lower problems, okay, in the obesity or higher weight of this one. So this is little structure of the how it actually, when you are added the heat and waters, they are mixed and this fully gelatinized and mixed structures. These are the structure of amylose and lipid complexes when you are added the protein. Because I am giving the examples of the in general of the making the fish pasta with the fish proteins. If you added the fish lipid also, it forms the three complexes: proteins, starch, and lipid. So amylose and lipid complexes. Also there is amylose and protein complexes. So more complexes take place, we can say more healthy products we can say. So this is the little study having recently conducted to the how affects on the made of the fish pasta to the digestion of the starch or starch digestibility of the blood glucose. So this we can say on the x-axis we can say times in minutes. This is the digestion times generally. This is the in vitro study. Digestion occurs in our body. I told that this is the 20 minutes where rapidly digestible starch or rapidly digestible occurs in the any products, we can say 20 minutes, and 20 to 120 minutes this activity generally take place into the small intestine or large intestine. So what actually happens, this is the example of the made of the fish pasta with fish protein powder and semolina. So this author found that there is reduction in the digestible starch. Because of this, we can say the alpha amylase activity restricted the fish proteins to degrade the starch molecules, and it gives the better results to control the release of reducing sugar or blood glucose to in milligram of per gram of the product. Also this study we can say have another we can say another study, because this study is conducted with the fish pasta or with the three more complexes with the fish protein, fish lipid, and semolina. So fish proteins generally in the study, the fish protein is used for the salmon. Salmons having the high lipid content. Everybody knows salmon having high lipid content. So salmons contain 60% lipid content. So they having the complexes, three complexes forms in the pasta product. That's fish uh, protein carbohydrate complex, protein lipid complexes. So these complexes plays important into the degradation of the alpha amylase activity to the hydrolysis of the starch molecules. So as I told that, we can say this one is, this is the control samples. There is digestibility is high as compared to this 10, 20 and 15 and 5, 10, 10, 10, 15 and 20% of the addition of the salmon fish powder. SFP means salmon fish powder. So we can see the in 20 minutes rapidly diabetes is, we can say, reduce almost 250 reducing sugars. Other as compared to the reducing sugars in the control is almost 480 or 450 or 460. So this is constants. We can also, we can say, in digestion times 120 minutes in our body, we can say there is constants. We can say there is not much increase or significantly decrease found into the whatever fish lipids or fish proteins incorporated in the fish pasta or other functional foods. They decrease the digestibility. So another examples we can take this maize starch, maize oil, and gene protein. So why they are using? Because they are using and they develop the such functional foods, and they are recommended to the food industries. They are using, they can use for the such modification of the functional foods with the certain proteins and certain oils and starch. Not like that maize starch are used and they certain use with, because only starch cannot play cannot develop the functional food. So we have to add certain other ingredients, that maize oil, gene proteins, and they form the complexes. We can see this is a complex forms, and this complex plays important role in the other functional properties. So we can say these are the scanning electron microscope image. What happens actually take place when there are three products combines together. We can say this is the maize starch and oil proteins. We can see this is the complex formation started, and this is the complex formation. Actually this complex formation is useful in when you are thinking about the nutritional properties in terms of the digestibility properties or protein digestibility. This plays an important role. So what are the methods generally used for the determination of the digestibility? There are lots of methods, but I would recommend more easiest methods with this Brennan methods. You can use method, but Brennan methods we are standardized, and we use pepsin and pH. We can conduct it easily in our laboratory with this pepsin. We can order the pepsin, and we can put in the pancreatine, and we can conduct in the laboratory with the digestibility experiments, and it takes around 5 hours to get the digestibility results. This is the in vitro digestibility study, so we can get exactly ideas whatever the development of the food, whatever food functional foods is developed, that having the certain parameters or functional properties or not are there. So we must think about the certain nutritional properties. Okay, these are the other works has been carried out certain other researchers, and they found good results, or we can say in good in terms of significant results with the legumes, insulin, beta glucan, beans, and guar. But there is little works or little scope, little having little works have been carried out on the fish protein based functional foods. So as a graduate or as a master students or as a PhD students, we must think about such fish proteins or fish materials. Why not your fish materials for the development of the functional foods? So also we can say effects on the glycemic index, how it affects on glycemic index. Recently, the events and it found that lower glycemic index reduce body weight and decrease blood pressure level. So, certain other the researchers, they works on different ingredients, and they are use different ingredients. Okay. So I'm coming point to the importance of the protein. So proteins plays important role in the food matrix. I told that it is made up of the amino acids, 20 amino acids, and we can say this source of so well balanced amino acids. As far as fish is concerned, having the proteins is tender, and animal products and meat products, they having the rough and hard structures. Because when any products we have to put in the mouth, their structure should be have the uh, not hard structures. Okay, so the fish proteins that's having the is important characteristics of having the well balanced amino acids that plays an important role in the gel formation ability in any product. So it breaks down tissues and contributes to the amino acids. They are reused, synthesize enzymes, hormones, immune functions, proteins. There are a lot of functions are there. It is important to consume and recommended by certain American health other organizations, European organizations, American health organizations. You must eat the fish at least two serving fish in the weeks. So at least you should get 0 0.8 gram protein per kg of body weights, or we can say they are recommended to 200 milligram per day. We must have that much have protein contents in our body, or we must eat of the fish content. So as I told, that cereal protein and fish protein, why we're using or why we're thinking about the functional food developed with the fish protein base. So we when we are planning such development of functional foods, we must think about what are the disadvantages of cereal protein and what are the advantages of the fish protein. So I told that cereal proteins first is low protein content, almost 11 to 10%, and high in carbohydrate content, almost 74%. So high level of rapidly digestible starch, I told that, which turn in rise is the nutritional health issues in diabetics, and we can say there is high blood glucose levels. Also, they having the deficiency in lysine and methionine, essential amino acids. So these are the disadvantages of the cereal proteins. So we are taking advantage of the fish proteins, which is rich in high quality proteins in terms of amino acids like lysine and methionine percentage measures. We can say omega-3 fatty acid, vitamins and minerals are there. So why not are you using the fish proteins for the development of the functional foods? So this one is, we can say, having the certain requirements as far as FO is recommended, as what are the infants requirements, what are the children requirements, what are the adolescent, and so different categories have different requirement of the body amino acids. So we can say having the different categories, they have different requirements of the amino acids. So this chart is indicated that other protein sources, we can say, is rice, wheat, maize, soya beans, and peas, and eggs. As compared to the fish proteins, we can say total essential amino acids, we can say, in the fish is 485. Other while compared to the cereal proteins like wheat 336, 414. So as compared to the cereals, the fish proteins having the higher amino acids content. So we have to use these fruit proteins for the development of the functional foods uh, and develop like innovative and nutritional products. So next I told that's protein digestibility. Protein digestibility nothing but the whatever food is consumed, which goes to the small intestine and large intestines, whether there is enzymes like trypsin, chymotrypsin, and protease that's break down proteins into the small dipeptides or tripeptide molecules, and then finally they consumes in the blood. So unless and until they not breakdowns, they cannot consume the blood level. So we must think about our functional foods developed with the fish proteins have the high protein digestibility. So we have to we have to think about the high digestibility food we have to develop. So this study, or we can say protein digestibility, it is related to the, because we have the small intestine and large intestine, there is pH requirements in the small large intestines, they having the pH range is neutral. So at neutral pH or in the acidic pH, what actually happens when the food is goes to the large intestine, where it is pH is decreased or increase, or whether its pH is decreased, what actually happens. So we will see in the next slides. So amount of essential amino acids present in the food products and the requirements of essential amino acids by an organism is a specific physiological state. So it is nothing but we have the well balanced amino acids. Unless and until we have the balance, or one, we can say like certain amino acids, we cannot synthesize or we cannot break down certain products, and we cannot utilize that products. So in the protein digestion process, protein rich food is broke down into amino acids. Okay, the catalytic breaking of the peptide bonds of food matrix is carried out by the enzymes. I told that protease, trypsin, and chymotrypsin is plays an important role in the breaking down of the that protein peptide bonds. So which act initially in the acidic environment, that is pH 4. So in the stomachs we have the pH 4 because it contains hydrochloric acid, like juices like. So and process of incomplete the alkaline environment of the small intestine, pH 8. So what the chemistry actually happens in the stomachs and small intestine when the food goes with the uh, with the protein and lipid content. So the proteolytic enzymes, the protein trypsin and chymotrypsins, selectively attack the specific bonds of the proteins and break down into amino acids, dipeptides, and oligopeptides. Yeah, that's actually happens in this one in the large intestines. Then absorption of this amino acid took place in the small intestines through the specific transporters. We have the specific transporters through this dipeptides and tripeptides. They are absorbed. So trypsin has the ability to cleave the peptide bonds to lysine and arginine at the primary binding position with the greater specificity. Also chymotrypsin, they have ability to cleave the certain amino acids. So as compared to the cereal proteins, we can say they are low digestibility compared to the animal protein, which is together with the limited amino acids, lysine and methionine. So this one is the protein quality of the fish is based on depends on the amino acids, and it's rich in digestible proteins. Also, the digestibility of proteins, as mentioned, is 90%. And they also the study conducted with the in vivo digestibility of proteins. They also compare with the in vivo in the rat or mice. They found that there is 90 to 98% bioavailability or digestibility of this one fish protein. So what actually happens when you are consuming the protein? The protein goes into the stomachs. There one can say the pepsin is available. They break down in the large proteins to the small peptides. They comes into the small intestines, and there one is trypsin and chymotrypsin. They are the endopeptidase enzymes. They having the capacity to break down, and they attack on the peptide bonds, and they break down out the uh, protein molecules, and they which is ultimate effects of they are in the free amino acid pools available, and they transport to the transporter to the blood cell. So I told that this one is the examples of the we can say this person is eating certain pasta or bread products. It comes in the stomach, so stomachs having the pepsin. We can say we comes in major parts plays in the pancreas or the large intestine. So what actually happens in the large intestine? So for example, we made the fish pasta or fish bread, so it having the high protein content, so it comes into the large intestines. So when we are preparing the products, we have the also the when you are preparing the fish pasta, for example, they having the also the starch. So starch having carbohydrate, and they also having some phenolic compound. Okay, so fish also having some antioxidant peptides. So what actually happens when they are coming into the large intestine, they having the neutral pH in small large intestine, they having the neutral pH means 8. So what happens when food is comes into the large intestine, there may be the chances of oxidation of the that phenolic compound. So once the oxidation of phenolic compounds took place in the intestines, these oxidated phenolic compounds binds to the our fish proteins available in that product. And what happens, this forms the complexes with these the polyphenols or phenolic compounds with the proteins, and this complex inhibit the activity of our proteolytic enzymes, means our trypsin, chymotrypsin, and protease. So and when they are inhibiting the activity of these proteolytic enzymes, the digestion of that foods cannot take place properly, or they cannot break down the two dipeptides or tripeptides, and the food which is having ultimate results of the lower protein digestibility. So we must think about the products. The oxidation of phenolic compounds could not take place when it goes to the large intestine. These are the examples of certain, we can say, we can in the as a graduates, I recommend that because we all are to second year, third year, or fourth exams, we can conduct small experiments, or in the practical, we can say protein digestibility. These are simple methods. Just take about 10 or 15 minutes in the laboratory to how to detect the protein digestibility experiment in the laboratory. It is invented by the Su et al. In the 2000 somewhere. And we can say the because it is related to the pH, because in our body, human body is the pH. I told that large intestine, the pH, as the pH drop, it is actually called as pH drop method. So as the pH decreases, what happens? pH decreases, whatever the protein molecules are there, amino and carboxyl groups, they are released in the water environments. As the carboxyl groups release in the water, that's environment, large intestine environments, there is increase in the concentration of the H plus ions. As the H plus ions increases, there is decrease of the pH. So this is the chemistry behind this. We have to detect the certain methods for the protein digestibility. So this is the one say examples like certain functional foods developed with the salmon fish powders, and they found that they this is the example of the control pasta, and this is the incorporated of the functional foods or pasta foods developed with the salmon, incorporation of the salmon protein into that. They found that there is, we can say, essential amino acids. They have found that there is, we can say, not significant, we can say there is decrease, we can say, amino acids, because when they are preparing, we can say there is maybe a degradation of the protein take place in the preparation of the cooked pasta product. At alkaline pH, what happens? The phenolic compounds present in the food can be oxidized. I told that there is oxidation take place, and oxygen with the side chain of group of molecular peptides to canoins and protein cross-linking occurs. So whatever oxidation of phenolic compound take place, or what happens, the more peptides, whatever proteins molecules are they having, these quinones which are from the polyphenols or phenolic compounds, they take place of cross-linking between the protein. So these quinones can react with the sulfidal groups of the proteins and amino groups of proteins, and resulting in the formation of the high molecular weight brown colored pigments, that is tannin. So as and when tannin forms, the proteolytic enzymes cannot break down our food products. The tannins are highly reactive and can readily combine with the sulfidals and amino groups of proteins. These proteins are phenols complexes, and this inhibit the activity of proteolytic enzymes. So different methods, scientists all over world, they have mentioned different methods. So I recommend that, so when you're talking about the as a graduate students, I recommend that the pH drop method is simple and ingest methods. We can results within 30 minutes. So there the enzymes generally trypsin, chymotrypsin, and peptidase generally used for the various foods we can take as a plant, milk, and animal proteins. We can detect the digestibility of proteins. Also, when you also we can search there is one in the FAO guidelines. They are coming in existence because initially they are using the DISs. We can say initially they are using the different methods. Now they are invented that's estimation of the digestible dietary indispensable amino acid score. That's a requirement of the amino acid, what food products having amino acids requirements, that's to the human beings. So next one is whatever the functional foods we have developed with the fish-based products or with fish-based products, we have the thinking about the antioxidant property. So what is the role of the antioxidants in our body? Antioxidants are chemicals that lessen or prevent the loss of free radicals. They donate an electron to free radicals, thereby reducing their activity. What actually it means? So we have the certain free radicals in our body. So these free radicals, we must stabilize these free radicals. Unless and until we stabilize the free radicals, they outbreaks and they combines with certain other this one, and we suffer a lot with the chronic diseases or cancer diseases or cardiovascular disease. So we must think about certain electrons or free radicals develops to stabilize that free radicals, and we must increase the antioxidant property. So importance of antioxidant in our body is it improves the quality of sleeps, maintain the health vision, reduce the obesity, protect the liver, then improve the nervous system. So lots of functions are there when you are consume the antioxidants rich food. So berries and other these ones, they recommended that, so we must eat that antioxidant rich food. So this helps. So these free radicals like superoxide anion and hydroxyl radicals and nitric oxide radicals, generally they are available in the form of the free radicals to present in the human body and responsible for the occurrence of the many harmful diseases. So we must think about that free radicals we have to stabilize with other food ingredients that's having the phenolic content. So an oxidant is a molecule which is capable of inhibiting the oxidation of other molecules. So cereal contains phenolic compounds and a good source of the antioxidants which have the potential to scavenge the free radicals and inhibit the lipid peroxidation in the food matrix. So what actually happens? I told that this is the free radicals generally available in the human body. So we must have the stabilized that free radicals with the other electron or other food particles that are having the antioxidant property or phenolic property. So we must donate certain free radicals to this one, and this one increase the antioxidant property. So this is the structure, we can say, when you are consuming any food in our body, when you are doing any functional food products, This is the phenolic compounds. They reacted with the peptide bonds or certain starch products, and they form the complexes, and they ultimately affects on the all the properties of the food products. So phenolic compounds in the food matrix mainly occur in the two forms: phenolic compounds and polyphenols. So they contains hydroxy groups, which is tightly bound to the aromatic rings. So this is the advantages of this one phenolic compounds. So recently the experiments has been taken place. The consumption of the high antioxidant food or fish pasta or fish-based pasta or fish-based bread products. So whether it is affect on the digestional antioxidant property or not. So study revealed that there is an increasing of the phenolic compounds when we use the development of the functional foods with the fish protein based fish pasta. We can say examples. There is increase of the phenolic compound in the gastric digestion and pancreatic digestion. Gastric digestion is nothing but the digestion take place in the stomach, and the digestion take place in the pancreatic digestion, which is a large intestine. We can take the pancreatic digestion. So there is an increasing tense the release of the phenolic compounds in our human body. So also this one is the antioxidant property. Also we have before digestion. This one is before digestion, and after digestion we can say after treatment of the enzyme, different enzymes, we can found that there is increase of the gastric digestion. In the pancreatic digestion there is increase of the antioxidant activity. So there is scope, we can say, having the capability of the fish proteins. So development of the functional foods to the increase of the antioxidant property of this one. So these are the certain different methods generally used for the detection of the total phenolic count and antioxidant property, estimation of the methods. So DPPH is most commonly methods available, also EBTS and FRP-SA. So ORAC is more complicated, or it requires a huge more we can say the instruments required for the ORAC estimation is more sophisticated. So I would suggest that all the students, you can like last year students or master students or PhD students, they can use these above methods as choline assay, DPPH assay, ABTS methods, and FRP assay in the laboratory. Also, other variety of ingredients are used for the development of the functional foods. We can say brown algae use, amarnath flower use, lentil flower, currant leaves are used for the development of antioxidant property. So the little work has been carried out of the fish-based proteins or fish having the bioactive peptides. They are having the antioxidant property. So how it affects on this one. So little bit about, we can say, the conclusions in these remarks, I can say. So we must think about the functional foods. We can offer the great potentials to improve the health and prevent the certain diseases when taken as part of the balanced diets and healthy lifestyle. So we must think about the functional foods developed with the fish proteins. They are having the nutritional properties in terms of digestibility, protein digestibility, starch digestibility, and antioxidant properties. So it is package of all products. When you are developing in any industry or when you are in any commercial properties, the commercial persons ask what are the nutritional properties. How can, when you are selling the market products, the product should have certain nutritional properties. Then it should be we can say giving the technology to the certain industry or this one. The subjects to the of the health claims in becoming increasing importance. As you know, there is broad concerns on there need to be regulatory frameworks and will protect the consumers, promote fair trade, and encourage products innovation in the food industry. So this is about the we can say functional foods we have to develop with the fish protein based, because we are as a fisheries graduates, we must think about that utilization of the fish protein or fish lipids, how to develop the functional foods, and we have to develop and give the technology to the industry. That's all. So thank you once. Thank you one and all. Thank you one and all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So any questions regarding free to ask all of students. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ajay Desai sir. It was a very detailed presentation, giving view of it was a complete package regarding proteins, digestibility, as well as the antioxidant, and what exactly the functionality means. So most of the audience here, they are from BFSC. I think some of them, they were not knowing the exact mechanism behind this. What is the importance of this functional foods and what is the importance of the antioxidants in the body. So I think now that concept is clear to them. So please,
Yeah.
students, if you have any questions, you can put up, please. Yeah, while they write the questions, Ajay sir, can I ask you a few these things?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So the first thing is most of our students are they're very much what's called interested to go abroad. So tell them
Okay.
some opportunities. Tell them some opportunities, study opportunities for their study at Lincoln University, because as you have been there,
Yeah.
so you can guide them for their master, because most of them are they're very much interested in the master's program, and a few of them are interested to pursue PhDs also. So
Yeah.
please guide them in this regard how to approach and all, so they can have an idea.
Yeah,
Please.
thank you, Vijay, because students can ask any questions regarding not related to topic, any questions regarding the education, because we are in the same streamline, because we have APSC graduates, MAPC, and Vijay also, the my colleagues, he has completed BAPC from our college, and he very enthusiastic persons. Even though when I was in New Zealand, he's constantly touch with me, sir, what should think about next, and this we can say this is more, we can say the students like Vijay, they having the potential, so we have to utilize like such students to your educational, because when I was in students, because my seniors are not that the seniors are not going abroad, so we facing lots of problems to how to approach, then how to communicate it. So now we have that, we are not we are going to that process. So I'm happy to share my experience. So I would suggest those graduates having the BAPC. So BAPC graduates, I'm not talking about the masters and PhD, I'm talking about the BAPC students. So BAPC students should think about first what should they have to do after BAPC. They clearly set up the minds after BAPC, if they are going to the state government job, they are going academic jobs, and they are going abroad. There are three options clearly, because when you are going to the last years, the parents told us, okay, you can the parents generally they don't have an idea about fisheries background. They only know the my daughter, or my you can say my daughter, or my this one is doing some graduate course, and he should have a job in the government organized like that. So you are the professional graduate, you should think, sit down and think, this one, I recommend that for the BPC graduate, go abroad for the masters, and then complete the PhD, they complete the postgraduates and settle down there. Because now your age is 21 and 22, so you can utilize these times to go abroad and sit there. Okay, so for the undergraduate levels, and for the master students, I would recommend that they are more focused on, because they have passed one stage and to the maybe to the masters. To master students, we can say they are thinking about the academic branch or private branch. So when we are taking the academics, we must think about the PhD, because now the ICR or UGC, now government of India, they are from the July 2021 onwards, you must have the PhD degree and net qualification. So PhD is compulsory now. Before that, PhD is not compulsory. Now the July 21, the PhD is considered when you are coming to the academic job. So this is about MSc, PhD, and BPC. So I'm guiding about the what how to approach for the foreign universities. So go to the Google engine. That's best utilization, we can say. And whatever, for example, the European countries generally require for the TOEFL and IELTS exams, while our USA they require the GRE and TOEFL. So if students, if they want, they can write the GRE and TOEFL, and they go on for the USA. And for the Europe, they can just write the IELTS and TOEFL exams. So they can, and you can do online exams. There is no need to go anywhere. Okay, so these are the two options for the going to the different countries are there. So there is no need to have any other extra efforts. So if you pass the TOEFL or exams, sit in the home and start searching of the your university, whatever universities are there. For example, I'm taking examples of the New Zealand. or Australia. So whatever you have to search in the Google engines what are the different universities are there, what are their requirements. For example, taking the examples of the Lincoln University. So we type the Lincoln University in the Googles, then what are the departments are there, what our qualifications are there, BPC. Okay, so there is not a masters of fishery science. Okay, so these are the masters in food science. So we could go for the master of food science, and ultimately you can see the what is the scope of New Zealand's, what are they exporting and what are they importing. So when you are going there, when you are thinking about the job in that country, it will affects on your study. So when you are searching in the website, you can see the departments, and you can approach to the as for the BPC graduates. I would recommend that we can contact it directly to the admission branch or admission coordinator, and they are very nice people and very cooperative people, not like that our Indian peoples, I would suggest, because they are very positive peoples. If you send the mail today, they will reply within 1 day, or within 2 hours, or within 4 hours, as soon as either yes or no. There is not actually such type of environment like Indian, you can say, at the system. So you can upload your documents, and you can get the results within 1 day, whether it is your degree is acceptable, or whether it required other requirements or not requirements. Also on the website there is scholarship, so you can apply the scholarship also there. And if you have that much calibers, you can get the scholarship also. And one thing I know that when I go there, the students came from other countries, or these ones, they came with the bank loan. But you can go with the bank loan, but you can go there and you can do the job there. And doing the job there, they can earn almost, we can say more, we can say whatever your bank loan interest, or easy we can monthly installments there, we can easily pay. So go with the bank loan, and you can find the job there easily, and you can nullify that bank loan in 2 or 3 years. So go with that go with that option, because I didn't know that students Malaysia from Indonesia, they are taking such type of initiative and go there and complete their basic degree. Also for the master's degree, same procedures, only the important thing is you have to approach to the your supervisor. Supervisors names are available in the staff category or department. For example, I'm looking for the department of food science. So in the department of food science, different scientists are there. For example, Dr. Vijay Reddy. So Dr. This one. So we have to contact that the scientist and require that, okay, I am student from this place, I have completed my BAPC, and I am interested to do this one. So this person is emphasizes what your BPSC qualification, what courses you have taught, and then accordingly he suggests that, okay, I have the openings, you can apply through, so I am accepting you, like that. So this process start, and also he also suggests that there is scholarship available or not, or there. So this is the process. You can sit in the room and you can apply online. Also for the PhD students, they can do postdoc study. Postdoc study also the same procedure. You can apply through online through the supervisor, and if their fund is available, they can get the postdoc. Vijay.
Yeah, sir, thank you so much. And in addition, if you allow me, I'll add a little to this. So as Desai sir said, so when you are going abroad for any studies, let it be any country, the first thing you have to see is the course we are choosing, whether it has any scope in that particular country or not. Because if you're doing some particular course in Canada, so you have to see what is the relevance of that particular course to the industry in the Canada. For example, if you're doing on some courses on dairy in Canada and there is no dairy industry in that country, so you're not going to get any job opportunities. So similarly, like in India, if you're doing something else, any some software or some other program in India, and if you have any scope, so it will be it's a waste of time. So that is why some of your seniors, I think you may be noticed, some of them they are excelling in the field in Canada also. Some of our juniors they are in Canada because fisheries they have done their master program as well as diploma programs, postgraduate diploma programs in fisheries. As this Canada is also having some of the good fishery resources, they are excelling there because they have chosen it wisely. So ours from both sir, from the Desai sir as well as myself, our sincere advice is when you're choosing a course, whether it is in India or whether it is in abroad, so you have to choose your postgraduate course or you have to choose your field wisely by correlating it with the actual industry, right? Okay, thank you. Any further questions, please? So if there are no questions, there is email ID given. Ajay Desai. Okay. What is the? There is one question, sir. I'll just read it out.
Yeah, correct.
So the one question was, it is from Jai Bansal, sir. What will be the best to do masters in India or abroad? So that again, I think as Desai sir has already clarified, it depends on your interest in which field you can excel. So there is no such, isn't it, Ajay sir? Like there is
Yeah,
no
correct.
such field
Correct.
that
Because
something is good or something is bad. Everything is depends on the person's interest.
yeah,
So and there is another question that was put up by Vishal. What is the future after 5 years if you completed future studies from abroad? So I didn't get the question exactly, sir. Did you get anything, Ajay sir? What is the
I
future after 5 years if you complete the? Hello, can you hear me, sir?
I didn't get it. I didn't get question. 5 years means what?
So he is asking. Yeah, he is asking like that. So, for example, if you pursued some master's degree or something from abroad,
Ah,
this one.
yeah.
So, what will be
Vijay,
our fate after 5 years? Sir?
Vijay, the some universities they are doing in Australia or some USA. They are giving the integrated degree. So integrated
Yes.
means if you're admitted, that's masters and masters 2 years and PhD 3 years. So this is 5 years. So when you are admitted for the masters, we are completed with the PhD, masters
Yes.
and PhD. So once again, I emphasize that we can say if you choose this country, the country, what are the scenarios there, what are the seniors and what they having so good jobs are there. So once you decided as a graduation, once you decided go abroad, I I recommend that don't come back to India. Okay, go and settle there. There are lots of scopes are there. So you should struggle there. You should have struggle there. You should go change the country. If you completed the degree in the USA, you can go to the Europe. There is lots of European countries are there. Germany's are there. Lots of good institutes are there. Because because those students they have the thinking about the going abroad. They have the capacity to tackle the situations. So I'm not talking about the students they are just thinking about. Some students are desperate to go to abroad. So if you are desperate to go abroad, then then if you go, you can change the country and you can got the better opportunity there and you can settle there. Yeah, that's all.
So, just adding to this, sir, one thing is like, as you have asked, so what will be our fate after 5 years? So, you just think for what you're going to do after 1 year. So, that depends, your 5 years fate depends on your next move, what you're going to do. So, for example, if you're doing studies in India and you're expecting a high profile job in Canada or somewhere in USA, so it is not possible because they have higher standards than us. Similarly, if you are pursuing a master's program somewhere in Africa or some other Asian countries and you are expecting a higher profile or very good paying job in USA or Canada, that is also not possible. So for that, what we suggested, you go for the very good academic institutions that are located either in European countries or America or Canada. Then you can come back to the normal Asian countries where you will get very good job with a high paying capacity. So what you have to do is you have to struggle in the initial period. Struggle is must. If you want to excel in your coming time, the struggle is must, and you have to struggle for your coming time. Then automatically, and if you can get a good seat in a very good university somewhere, then definitely you are going to after 5 years. Even after within 3 years, you are going to excel, and you can see yourself somewhere very higher than what. So I think there are no more questions for now. And here, sir, mail ID is given. If you need any what's called for, if you have any further queries, and if you need anything to be written to Dr. Desai, sir, here email ID is given and contact is with me. You can contact me at any time. You can contact him at any time. Okay. Sir, from College of Fisheries Gadwasu and as well as IDPSL Gadwasu and all the faculty here, I sincerely thank you for spending your valuable time as well as the experience. Thank you so much, Aditya sir,
Thank you.
and I think we can wind up here.
Thank you, Vijay, for giving an opportunity to share with my experience and whatever the recent development in the functional foods are fish protein based. So any help, I'm always ready to help students. So my email ID is there. So and you can write your query as much as possible. I can reply to your query.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Amandeep ma'am, thank you so much, and you can disconnect the call.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.